Today we're going to take a look at the second part of the time resource. When we left off last time, we were talking about numbering our days and making a list of things to do each day. We were about to develop a plan to take control of our life. Today we'll look at developing a time management plan. Time management requires decision making. Decision making is a subject that we'll cover in great detail during the controls presentation. Cross-coupled with decision making is temperaments, a subject that we'll look at in the leadership session. However, we'll take a quick look at both subjects as they relate to time management. Time management plans are made up of three elements: a list of tasks or events, the priority assigned to each task or event, and the length of time required for each. The list should be divided into several categories: the daily list, immediate action items, near-term items, things to be accomplished this week, and things to be accomplished this month. Next, midterm planning for this year, and long-term future goals. You may say, "I don't know what I'm going to do next week." That's okay. By making a daily list, it will get you started thinking about the future. You can think about the rest of the list as we go along. Let's start with tomorrow's list. What must we do tomorrow? For most of us, our daily routine is set. The list is fairly easy to make. Make the list without regards to which comes first. Making the list is what is important. It'll help you plan your day. At this point, you may say, "Wait, I don't need a list. I do this routine every day." That's right. This list is just for practice. It's easy to make a list of your routine. Your weekday routine has developed a time management schedule for you, whether you realize it or not. Stick with me, because we haven't gotten to the weekend yet. Now, in what order will this list get done? Does one item have to be done first? What you are doing is placing values or priorities on the list. In this list, getting ready for work comes first, followed by drive to work and work. Fill the car with gas and drive home. Maybe we need to fill the car with gas before we go to work, depending upon how low the tank is. For this example, let's fill the tank after work. You may want to reorder this list. It's not important which order you thought of the list. However, if you put the most important at the top of the list to begin with, it'll help you prioritize the list. The third step is to establish length of time to complete each task. Because this is our daily routine, and you have done the task over and over again, it'll be easy to assign time values. Just wait. We've not got to the weekend yet. We will assign 1 hour to get ready for work, 1 hour for getting to work. If you work from 8 to 5, we can assign 9 hours to this task and 1 hour to get home. That leaves filling the car with gas. How much time are we going to allocate? Let's say 24 minutes. Now let's compare daily routine time to free time. We will assume you get 8 hours of sleep for this chart, and we allocated 1 hour for morning activities, such as shower, get ready, and breakfast, and 1 hour for getting to work. We assumed that you had an 8 to 5 job with 1 hour of getting home at night. This is your daily routine. Your time management is set for you by your work and sleep schedule. However, there is some free time. from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But wait, we didn't fill the car with gas. We'll have to make a quick trip to fill the car and still eat. What does that leave us with? 3 hours a night? And if you take a night class 2 nights a week, how much free time do you have? Not much. You have very little free time during the week. But now it's Friday evening. How are you going to manage your time on the weekend? Weekends. Except for eating, it's all free time. And maybe on weekends, even lunch and dinner is free time. You can schedule your weekend to do whatever you want. Good time management helps you make the most of your time. With only weekends to work with, we can see how Psalms 90:12 is important. We can see how the words, "how few they are," stand out, and the need to learn how to spend them as we should. What about those who are self-employed? Self-employed people must learn good time management, or else they'll find their business in trouble. How they spend their time during the week will determine how much free time they have, as well as their financial status. Just because they do not report to a supervisor does not allow them to waste time. When people are given the opportunity to manage their own time, they do it in 3 ways: the procrastinator, the crisis manager, and the planner. The procrastinator gives every task equal value. They can work on a task for a while and then switch to something else. That's why they may never finish a project. They see another task that needs work, so they stop working on the current task and start working on the other task. When asked about finishing a task, they may become irritated because they just worked on that task yesterday. They did not finish it, but they worked on it. Procrastinators can develop into the next type of manager when important tasks are left undone. The crisis manager. The crisis manager's philosophy is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease rather than greasing all the wheels. If you are a crisis manager, all your tasks will reach a crisis stage. In this case, the crisis is that if the car runs out of gas, nothing else gets done. Crisis managers are like the white rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. They're always activity-driven, always rushing from place to place, responding to crisis. Whatever the cause, he's late. So what could cause this condition? The procrastinator puts off the task until it becomes a crisis. This situation is most common with students in school. The crisis occurs when it is the night before a test and studying took a backseat to other activities. Now they have to spend all night cramming for the test. Students need to learn good time management if they're going to be successful in passing the test of life. However, poor planning can also cause a crisis. If the time you allocated to the task is not enough, then other tasks will be delayed. This could push all the tasks into a crisis mode, and you'll become activity-driven rather than schedule-driven. The pressure of a crisis can push you into a hasty decision that may not have been made under calmer circumstances. Even the best time managers will face crisis. There are events that are unforeseen. Throughout life, everyone will have to deal with them. All the planning in the world cannot anticipate an emergency. When the crisis happens, you must drop what you're doing and respond. Good crisis managers are like firemen. Firemen are trained to respond to crisis and work under extreme pressure. Tasks that are not dealt with are like the small fire that spreads into the trees, causing a major disaster. At times, They even put their lives in danger to rescue people from the crisis. Fortunately, when the crisis is over, firefighters can go back to a more normal or routine way of life. Unlike firefighters, some people find crisis management exciting. They thrive on fixing crises. Some even create crises in order to fix them. They like the attention that a crisis brings. Unlike the crisis manager, the planner tries to look ahead and see the problems before they happen. Planners must allow for interruptions by adding additional time to their plan. One of the biggest interruptions is the phone call. Proverbs tells us that a wise man is a planner. Here are 4 verses that deal with planning. A wise man thinks ahead, a fool doesn't. We should make plans, counting on God to direct us. A prudent man foresees the difficulties ahead and prepares for them. A sensible man watches for problems and prepares to meet them. We see that planning prepares for difficulty. Why are some people better at planning than others? It has to do with their temperament. We'll look at temperaments in some detail during the leadership section. However, let's take a quick look and see how they fit in with time management. Many books have been written on the subject, starting with Hippocrates some 400 years before Christ. I found Dr. Tim LaHaye's book on temperaments to be a good source for understanding why we act the way we do. The many authors use different words and colors, yet they all seem to fall into 4 groups. It's been my observation that people see what appears to be procrastination in the sanguine temperament. The choleric appears to be a crisis manager. Phlegmatics and melancholies appear to be the best planners. The observation is that the sanguine will commit to doing something for a friend and then commit to doing something for another friend without thinking about his first commitment. He will overbook his day, leading people to believe that he put off their job. Those who overbook their day need to remember what King Solomon wrote in Ecclesiastes 5:5. He said, "It is far better not to say you're going to do something than to say you will and then not do it." The choleric is seen as a take-charge person. He's a ready, shoot, aim person. He takes action, then thinks about it later. This could require the task to have to be done over, causing a delay. The phlegmatic has a natural ability to plan. However, a plan without action appears to be procrastination. The melancholy can plan, yet will analyze the schedule and change it and make it better. This leads to analysis paralysis, and nothing gets done. All 4 temperaments have their strong and weak points when it comes to doing a task. We'll now move on to the 3rd step, that of time allocation. I have found that the 3rd step in time management to be the hardest, that of time allocation. If you underestimate the time that it'll take to do a task, you can find yourself in a crisis mode. We learn to allocate time based on past experience. List all of the tasks that you want to do this weekend. Now cross off the 2 with the lowest value or priority. Why? Because you won't get to them anyway. We always think that we can do more on the weekend than we end up doing. Until you can learn through experience how much time it will take, you're better off overestimating how long it'll take than to underestimate the time. If you overestimate the time and it takes less, then you'll have more time for the next task. I found that your first estimate is never enough. You should double your estimate. However, you've not allowed for any time for interruptions. More time is needed. I found that a 2.5 time factor works for me. If I think it'll take an hour, I need to allocate 2.5 hours. So a half-a-day job will take a day and a half. I can't tell you how many times a half-a-day job has spilled over into the next morning. If you do the job quicker, you look like a hero. Taking more time makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. You will gain confidence in your time management skills as you gain experience in doing tasks. When the finest car in the world's gas tank is on empty, the car will not move. The same is true with people. All the planning and time allocation in the world is of no value when you lack the energy to do the task. Our productivity is directly linked to our emotional and physical condition. Young people can accomplish more in one day than older people. Why? Because of their energy level. Energy level, along with ability, must be considered when allocating time to a task. When we find that we have more tasks than time, we are headed for a crisis. Once you enter the crisis mode, you may find that every task has become a crisis. Crisis can lead to emotional frustration, and it opens the door to depression. And depression can lead to panic. Overload of tasks can cause burnout. Burnout is a form of depression. You no longer have the will or the drive to do what you used to do. Your tank is empty. How do you get out of the crisis mode? Prevention is the best way. How many hours can you work before your tank is on empty? Like a car, some cars have 30-gallon gas tanks, whereas others only have 15-gallon tanks. Each individual has a different capacity and energy burn rate. When you find yourself in a crisis mode, what should you do? Stop. That's right, stop. You need to set new priorities. You only have so much energy, and there are only so many hours left in the day. Pick the most vital task and concentrate on it. The tasks that will not get done need to be put on a later to-do list. When things have not gone well on a given day, a good night's sleep will do wonders. You may even need a vacation. You say, vacation? I've got too much to do. Right. It is at times like this that you need to take a break and rethink your priorities. In Mark 6:31, Jesus said, "Get away from the crowd and rest." Hopefully, from this crisis, you will learn better time allocation. The crisis due to overload is different from the crisis due to procrastination. Procrastination occurs when you put off doing something that should have been done. That is, you had the time and the energy, yet you chose to do something else. Procrastination is a decision-making process, not a time allocation issue. Having made a list of the tasks that need to be done and the time to do it in, and you still chose to do something else, will cause you to pay the price of a crisis. Now your energy level is reduced and the time is running out. Remember the student who put off studying for a test until the night before the test? It's panic time. Watch out for time wasters. Things like surfing the internet for hours or watching TV hour after hour. And what about those video games? They can consume more time than you plan to spend. Unless you prefer crisis management as a way of life, you need to make the decision to learn time management at the daily level. This is the building block for future success. Until you can manage your daily life, you will not be able to manage long-term projects. There are many ways to record the task for the day, either by written list or by electronic planners. You do not need printed forms like this one, but it helps. For midterm planning, you can use a month-at-a-glance planning sheet. That way, events will not get double booked. Long-term success requires that you make a decision to make time management a priority. For those of you who have your life ahead of you, you need a plan. You need to sit down with those close to you and share your plans with them. Why? Because Proverbs 15:22 and 20:18 says that plans go wrong with too few counselors. Others can help you enlarge your vision and broaden your perspective. When I first started to think about my future, I wanted only to be a draftsman, the one who drew drawings. When I shared my plans with others, they expanded my plan to include engineering school. Earlier we read Psalms 90:10. 70 years and maybe even 80 is an expected lifetime. Let me tell you how quickly they roll by. When you get an invitation to your 20th year high school reunion, it doesn't seem so long ago. When you receive an invitation to your 40th year high school reunion, everyone looks so much older. Why do all these people have to wear name tags so you know who they are? It seems like just yesterday that you were here. Where did the time go? How will you manage the time that God has given you? What will you have accomplished in your life? Will your life be like the sound of that railroad track? Saved soul, wasted life? Or will it be found to be a faithful servant using your time wisely? It's your choice. Time is a valuable resource. Use it wisely. Yes, someday you will join this group of people. Hebrews 9:27 tells us that everyone will die. Ever thought of what happens when the time stops for you? Manage your time wisely before the sands of time run out for you.